I'm happy to introduce the candidates for Shelton City Council, position number 7. We'll begin with opening statements from Bob Rogers.
Thanks, John. My name is Bob Rogers. I've lived in Shelton about 30 years, been in the forestry industry for about 45. I recently retired from Green Diamond as inventory manager, where I was responsible for analysis and for both operational and financial plans on ownership of multi-millions of dollars. I'm running this campaign focusing on 3 things which kind of relate to the responsibilities of the council. That's being open, being practical, and being accountable. And to me, open goes well beyond the rules of Open Meetings Act. It needs to be a mindset of all public employees. It also needs to be extended so when we have a proposal before the council, that the council does the research and knows all the issues in that, so that whole proposal can be transparent to both the council and the public for voting. I'm also for practicality. Shelton needs practical solutions for both long and short-term issues. We need to focus on making Shelton livable and affordable for current residents and really study hard any proposal that requires future growth. And accountable. The city council must take on the role of being accountable to the citizens, but it also must take on the role of holding the city manager and ourselves accountable for the goals of the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Mary Eagleson?
Yes, thank you.
Thank
you, everyone, for showing up. I like the turnout. It looks very nice. I'm running for city council because I believe in a change. I believe in diversity. I believe we need a bigger voice on the panel. We need younger voices, we need middle-aged voices, and we need some older voices. And yes, I'm one of the older ones, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what I've been through in my life. I've owned 3 businesses. The largest was a landscaping business. I've also worked for the largest pharmaceutical company in the United States, which is Perrigo Company in Allegan, Michigan. I lived here in the 80s, I lived here in the 90s, and I came back almost a year and a half ago. And I went to the meetings and didn't like what I saw, and I thought it's time for change. Shelton needs change. We need new voices. We need new opinions, and we need the people to come to town hall meetings. We have to have the voice of the people. You can't sit home, you can't be upset, you can't get angry because things aren't going right. If you don't come to the meetings, you don't voice your opinion. So please, please vote. And anyone that knows anyone that needs to register, in my briefcase tonight, see me after the meeting. I have the paperwork that you can give them to fill out to become a voter.
Thank you, Mary. Tracy, more?
Hi, thank you all for coming. It is very exciting to see so many people out to witness this, and it's so exciting to have so many candidates. I'm Tracy Moore. I'm running for position 7. I've lived in Shelton for 30 years. I have 3 children and 6 grandchildren who still call Shelton home. I have recently served 4 years as your City Commissioner of Public Works. I won my election by 13 votes, and after spending 4 years and attaining a certificate of municipal leadership, I lost my election by 15 votes. During the time that I was on the council, on the commission, I became aware that the commission was no longer relevant in today's time when there are so many distractions, and that we were not run as an actual commission. And so I spearheaded the change to council, and thank you for everyone who voted. I was determined to found a more inclusive, transparent, representative body with representation from each district, and I am asking that you return me to council so that I can be part of the actual beginning of the council. I have more to do to fulfill my goal in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. We'll get into the questions, which you'll have a minute and a half to answer wise. Mary, you will answer first. In December budget briefing, it was relayed that the city's debt, mostly from loans to build the sewer treatment plant, stands at $43.6 million, and that the city's monthly debt payment are budgeted at approximately $250,000 per month. Do you believe the city's debt load is a problem? And what are your ideas to move the city forward in terms of financial stability?
Well, that's a good question. We do need and did need help with our sewer system and the budget. As it's my understanding from the meetings that I went to, the cost was going to be quite a bit larger for the sewage system that they were talking about, and that they brought the costs down to help the city. And that's a good point. Somebody behind the scenes is working really hard to bring the costs down. I think we could do more with the budget. I think we could bring more to the city if we do more on tourism. If on the 2017 budget, there's 0% for tourism. We're not spending any money on tourism. How are we going to bring people into Shelton? How are we going to keep Shelton Christmas town? How are we going to do that? Because you have to do more to bring in the money to help pull down the budget. And if you're not doing that, big businesses aren't going to bring you in the money just to bring down your budget. Big business is going to bring you a problem of more problems, more money, bigger government, more headaches. So I think what they've done with the sewer system is great.
Thank you, Mary. Tracy, I can repeat? Sure.
Please.
Certainly. In December's budget briefing, it was relayed that the city's debt, mostly from loans building the sewage treatment plant, stands at $43.6 million, and that the city's monthly debt payment are budgeted at approximately $250,000. Do you believe the city's debt load is a problem, and what are your ideas to move the city forward in terms of financial stability?
The current debt, of course, is a problem. I would much rather not have that. But I think we need to look at our debt as also a positive investment that we have made. And so that is less money that we have to invest in the future. That, I'm forgetting the question. As far as the future, I'm afraid I'm going to go off track here, but as far as the future, I believe strongly that we are in a good position as far as our budget, as far as our finances. We are passing all of our audits with great numbers, and we are paying off our debt as scheduled. We're meeting all our obligations for existing loans. And for grants that we've received, we are being awarded more grants, and that is because of our great handling of the money and the fact that our debt does not exceed the ratio that we should have. Of course, we can do better anytime at that, and as we continue to bring in new industry, we will be able to do better as far as the debt ratio. So we're in good shape, but we can do better.
Thank you, Tracy. Bob, I can repeat the question if you'd like.
I've got it, John.
Okay.
Thanks. The city debt was one of the issues that I was issue-oriented at city meetings prior to being more involved in the last 6 months, and the debt was one of the issues. 2 years ago during the campaign, I looked at not the total debt, but the debt per appraised value. Shelton has a much higher debt ratio per appraised value in town than any other town, let alone the huge 40 million plus number. As anyone knows who owns a house, if you have a huge debt on your house and you have to make debt payments, you have to sacrifice other things. Now, a lot of this debt is tied to the enterprise services, the water and sewer, but if we didn't have that huge debt, our rates would be lower, and that's been one of the big issues in town, both for residents and for new building. So you know, it's passe now, we have to pay it, it's bonded, but it really constricts growth because of our rates, and to incur new debt for projects that may be very needy for the future, it's going to be a hard sell to the public, and it's also going to put the city in more financial difficulties, because currently we're spending about $3 million, you said $250,000 a month on debt payments. $1 million of that, I believe, is interest, $2 million is principal. And again, that limits, at least in these services, what you can do with funds, because you have to outlay that payment.
Thank you, Bob. Our next question is going to relate to some information that was sent to you prior to the debate. And looking over, each of you have the chart in front of you, but you were sent it again prior to the debate. Looking at how the city has allocated its resources in the current budget, please explain how you feel about the current allocations or percentages spent in different areas and what changes you would recommend. And we'll begin with Tracy.
Okay, many of these are fixed, and we have no choices about our obligations for the certain percentages of our budget. Where I would change is I would, as Mary said, I would allocate more money for tourism. I would make sure that our general fund is kept healthy and is kept with the largest percentage that we can put in there. We have to be responsible in keeping our general fund healthy because it funds so many things. That is what funds our police. That is what funds many of the social services that we don't have because we have not made that a priority. That is where the funding for housing and drug treatment for all of those would come from. So I do believe that if it were a perfect world and I got to make decisions, I would keep that general fund as healthy as we could possibly make it and look at it with more of an eye for what is really, truly important, what is of the greater benefit for our city, and make sure that decisions are made that reflect the greatest benefit for the most of our citizens and our businesses.
Thank you, Tracy. Bob?
The current allocation includes quite a bit in the water and sewer components, which are, you know, do the debt service. It has to be paid. There's no reason they can't look, and I'm sure the city is looking for efficiencies in the operations of those two the two parts to gain efficiencies. The general fund is really the fund that supports everything else as far as police and the city services that we think as city services. Until more income comes in, we need to really work on efficiencies of the city, which I know they have been. I know the road department is working on efficiencies. I know the treasurer's office has worked on efficiencies, such as online billing and things like that. The other parts are fairly small, and a lot of those are already allocated. The fireman's pension, some of these things are just a given cost that you cannot have much control on. So without digging deeper and gaining efficiencies in the cost currently or gaining more income, you know, the pie is kind of cut up, and there is some fringes where it be worked on to allocate it differently, but the large components are these fixed costs that we kind of addressed in that first question.
Thank you, Bob. Mary?
I see a couple problems with our budget that you people don't see because you don't have the paper in front of you. But two of the main things. One I already spoke about, which is our tourism. No percentage for tourism, nothing. The other one is 0% on library endowment. If we don't take care of our libraries, how are we going to teach our children? Where are they going to go to get a book? Not everybody has technology. A lot of poor children don't have technology. We need to do more for our libraries, and we need to do more for the tourism of this town. We have to take a little bit of that general budget, and we have to put it towards two major things that are going to make this city a better city. And I don't want it to be an Olympia. I don't want to see Shelton turn into the big city, because that's not what brought people here. That's not what's bringing people here, and that's not what's going to make people stay here. So I think we need to change some of this budget. I think we need to put it into a couple of factors that are the most important for our city, and that's what I feel.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you all for your answers. With that, we'll begin our closing statements. Each one of you will be given 1 minute, and Bob will hear from you first.
Okay, thanks, John. Just like to thank everyone for coming, and those that are going to be seen on the web, and for the chamber for putting this on. Been to many of these, and these are very informational, and I appreciate that effort. I think the underlying theme of my discussion tonight with some of these questions is the financial status of the city, and it involves both income and expense. And I think income is one thing we need to work on more. The city, I think, just started an economic development plan focus this year, but that's one focus that I think we need to have. And when I hear about the timber industry being dead and tourism the solution, I'm not saying one or the other. I think we need a mix of all on the waterfront, in town, in this county. I was at a meeting where Hood Canal Pioneer presented their school proposal, and one of their focuses is on aquaculture and forestry as a theme. That's what Mason County's resources are. We can move our city to downtown Seattle. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Mary?
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming, everyone. Shelton is a really nice place, and there's so much we can do. We have to look at what we have here, our resources, our forests, our fishing, our campsites, things that will bring people into Shelton. They will spend money if they come, which is good for Shelton. And I'm just pleased that to have the opportunity to be part of this process and to be who I am, and to be a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, and a person who can sit up here in front of you people and want change for the city that we're in. This is a great city. Let's keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy?
Okay, this is not our typical election season. We have some major problems that have been identified with our city government, and we need to address those. I'm really so excited once again that the council passed, and I'm asking for an opportunity to serve on the council. Having the experience I do, you know me. I'm outspoken, I'm honest, I'm independent, and I'm strong. And I will stand up for you, and I'll work for the greater good for every person within our community. I'll stand up for what is right. We can be so much more by integrating more involvement from our citizens, for doing the right thing, for insisting that our leaders do the right thing. And I ask you all to please don't vote for someone, don't vote for me because I'm your friend or your neighbor, or you know me, or you don't like me. Vote for the people who will do the best for you.
Our thanks again to each of you, both in person and online, for joining us. We appreciate our candidates also for joining us tonight and sharing their platform. I hope that you all found this beneficial